What up, Giants fans? Make sure you guys are subscribed to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. We put out videos literally every single day on the latest Giants news and rumors. We go live once a week. We'll be live for NFL free agency and the NFL draft. And we're almost at 24,000 subs. Once we get there, we're going to continue to do more videos every single day. Every day this offseason. No other Giants YouTube channel is doing that. So rock with us this offseason. YouTube.com/NYGiantsTV. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. I appreciate everybody for tuning into today's show. If you love the New York Football Giants, give this video a thumbs up. We got a bunch to talk about. We're going to talk about Julian Love and him kind of shit-talking Nick Sirianni. I got a pretty good take and strong take on that. But let's start with the rumors of the day. That comes from Dov Kleiman. Well, really from The Athletic. Dov Kleiman was the one that put it out for everybody to see. He said, report, Bengals wide receiver Tee Higgins, quote, could be traded for a top pick if the team can't reach an extension with him. And the money he's asking for is outrageous, per The Athletic. Higgins is entering the final year of his rookie contract and went over 1,000 yards on back-to-back seasons. Higgins has been absolutely dominant through the beginning part of his NFL career. This is what I don't know how to say his last name, Paul Dehner, excuse me, if that's wrong, of The Athletic, said, Tee Higgins' contract dictates he reports and plays for the last year of his deal worth $4 million, but conversations need to be had about a long-term contract. If the numbers are outrageous and it's clear the two sides won't see eye to eye, the Bengals could go the route taken by multiple teams in recent seasons and deal the receiver for a top draft pick and start the cycle over with the rookie receiver. We've seen this time and time again, and most notably this past offseason. But I think this is a good point by Paul. They could look to trade Higgins if they can't come to a long-term deal, get that top draft pick, and try to then go get a wide receiver who could be cost-controlled. Who cares about the Bengals? Let's talk about the Giants. Remember, Joe Schoen was the assistant general manager for the Buffalo Bills when the Bills traded for Stephon Diggs and gave up their first-round draft pick number 22. So don't tell me Joe Schoen is all about the draft, because this clearly tells you he was a part of a front office that valued trading a top pick for a proven talent like Stephon Diggs. That costed one first-round pick, and then the wide receiver trade market really blew up. There were 3 wide receiver trades last year that went for a king's ransom. Remember, A.J. Brown was traded to the Eagles from Tennessee. They got pick number 19, and they got a third-round pick in that same draft. Davante Adams went from Green Bay to Las Vegas for the 22nd pick and a second-rounder in the 2022 NFL Draft. And then Tyreek Hill went from Kansas City to Miami for pick number 29, a second, fourth, and a sixth-round pick. So look, if you are going to trade for Tee Higgins, it will not be cheap, and at minimum, it will cost you a first-rounder. I believe the Bengals would want a first-round pick and maybe a day 2 pick on that, and PFF somewhat agrees. This is what they had to say and why they think Tee Higgins is a prime candidate and trade target for the New York Football Giants. They said if Higgins was on the market, expect there to be a ton of suitors. Nonetheless, the team that is the most desperate to find wide receiver help has to be the Giants. Their leading receiver in 2022 was Darius Slayton, who was nearly cut before the year began. Adding Higgins would make their offense much more dynamic and finally give Daniel Jones a weapon he can trust. And I completely agree, and I am in the mindset that trading for Tee Higgins is a solid move for the New York Football Giants. I know that we want to build this team through the draft, but at the same time, when you go out there and there's someone out there that is an elite player at a young age, at a position of need, sometimes you got to strike while the iron is hot, and I think Joe Schoen is that type of guy. He knows when a player is too good to pass up on, and maybe it might not be Tee Higgins. Maybe it's Brandon Ayuk. Maybe it's DJ Moore. Maybe even it's DeAndre Hopkins for a third or second round pick. I think Joe Schoen will have his fingerprints all over the NFL trade market and trade block, seeing if he can go get a top receiver. We're going to unpack this a little bit more, but should the Giants trade for Tee Higgins? I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section. Look, if you can get him for a first-round pick, I think you could do it. If you got to add some more, then I may have a little bit of cause for concern. But let me know, should the Giants trade for Tee Higgins, type T for trade, and go down and type P for pass. the reason I think at least taking a deep look at this Tee Higgins trade idea makes sense is because the free agent wide receivers are not very good, and the draft class wide receivers are there's more valuable receivers, in my opinion, in the draft. I'm still very early into my draft prep, that you can get a great receiver or a good receiver in rounds 2, 3, and 4, whereas you may be reaching in the first round. But back to free agency, we'll talk about the draft in a second. The top 10 free agent wide receivers are not that good. I mean, Odell Beckham hasn't played football in a year. JuJu Smith-Schuster continues to be hurt. Jacoby Myers is a good number 2. Allen Lazard wasn't even that good with Aaron Rodgers. DJ Chark didn't play that much for Detroit. Darius Slayton's in the top 10, and you almost cut him before the year. Mecole Hardman, I think, could make some sense for Big Blue due to his connection with Mike Kafka and their time in Kansas City. Jarvis Landry had like 27 grabs this year. Marvin Jones is someone I would be interested in, but not as my number 1 receiver. And Paris Campbell, like I said, with Myers, he's a number 2 or number 3 at best. So you're not going to be able to fix that wide receiver spot necessarily in free agency, but in the draft, I think the class is deeper than stronger at the top. I like Jordan Addison. I don't know if I like him at 25. And same with Quentin Johnston. Jackson Smith and Jigba could be the wild card, but I sometimes worry if he has the foot speed and the athleticism to win on the outside at all costs. Josh Downs, he's a fun receiver, but he's short. He's 5'10". Jalen Hyatt is the guy I'm interested in, but could you maybe get him if you trade up in round 2? Rashee Rice is someone I'm interested in. He's not a first round. Tyler Scott's not a first rounder. A.T. Perry's not a first rounder. Zay Flowers is someone that I have my eyes on. This is Dane Brugler of the Athletics' top 10 wide receivers. He has Zay Flowers at number 9. I think Zay Flowers could be a sneaky pick. Might be a reach, and it absolutely would be a reach at 25, but I do see some elite skills there. I'm just concerned about drafting another receiver that's shorter than 5'10". The Giants need an immediate upgrade at wide receiver, and that's why I think trading for a guy like Tee Higgins or Brandon Ayuk or Mike Evans or DeAndre Hopkins or DJ Moore is going to be a point of interest for Joe Schoen this offseason. He knows that they need to get better. He said in a press conference after the season that getting a wide receiver 1 doesn't guarantee anything, but it does guarantee you that it makes life for your quarterback a lot easier. And if you're going to bring back Daniel Jones on $30 to $35 million per year, you need to get him a number 1 wide receiver. All the great quarterbacks have great wide receivers. It's time for Daniel Jones to get one. I believe as of, what's today, February 9th, and I'm still early in my draft process, I would trade for a proven talent or go elsewhere. What did I say? It's February 3rd. I'm getting ahead of my skis here. February 3rd. Trade for a proven talent or go elsewhere in round 1. End of the day, I'm a BPA guy. Whatever the best player available on the board at that point is somewhere I would go. If it's a receiver, if that's the guy that's on the highest spot of your board when you're on the clock, then sure, go ahead and do it. But I want to take the pulse of the real ones because I need some help here. Let me know what you think. What position should the Giants take in round 1? I'm a BPA guy. I love a receiver, but I kind of like the day 2 receivers a little bit more. Would love a corner. Would love an inside linebacker. I'd also love an interior offensive lineman. What do you think? Sound off for me down below in the comments section. We're going to get to that Julian Love and Nick Sirianni conversation coming up in a second. But first, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Fume. Go to tryfume.com/chatsports because we all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard they can be to kick those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. I didn't expect much out of Fume when I got it, but the minty sensation is really powerful, and they have a bunch of flavors that you can choose from. They got crisp mint, maple pepper, white cranberry. That crisp mint is so crisp. I love it. It's definitely my favorite of the Fume flavors. They have 3 unique flavors in the Journey pack. Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save 10% off when you get the Journey pack today. That's tryfume.com/chatsports. Use code ChatSports for 10% off. That link is in the comments and description of today's show. Shout out to Fume. Let's focus in on some of the biggest news for the Giants right now. Julian Love went on NFL Network. I believe it was Good Morning Football. Is that what their show's called? And he was asked about Nick Sirianni. He was asked about the Eagles and the loss in the playoffs. And I'm going to be honest, not the biggest fan of what he said. I don't disagree, but I don't know if I'm a fan of it. Julian Love said when talking about Nick Sirianni, he said he's a guy who really is doing a good job because he's not getting in the way of his team. He has an experienced roster from top to bottom, offense, defense. He's in for a free ride right now. You guys can coach this team. I'm just not a fan of this. Julian Love, why are you going on NFL Network and shit-talking the Philadelphia Eagles when you just got your ass whooped by the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs? And you got your ass whooped by the Philadelphia Eagles twice in the regular season. And you were absolutely terrible against the Philadelphia Eagles, Julian Love. Your worst game of the season was against the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs. He had 5 missed tackles, a PFF grade of 32.3. He was targeted 4 times, allowed 3 receptions, and 63 yards. How do you miss 5 tackles? Julian Love, you want to be a big dog? You want to talk shit about the Philadelphia Eagles? How about you freaking beat them? Because the Giants are 2-12 in their last 14 games against the shitty Philadelphia Eagles. I hate them, and I hate losing to this football team. You want to talk crap about Sirianni? Sure, I hate the guy as well. But how about you back it up on the football field and not deliver your worst performance of the season when the Giants' season was on the line, and then at the end of the game, you're saying Cancun on 3 because you played like shit. Julian Love, you're better than this, and you're smarter than this, and you're a good football player. I like Julian Love on this football team. But how about you play and you don't talk? Because you already got your ass worked by the Philadelphia Eagles. Love is a free agent, and I want to bring him back, and it's because he had a good season. But as a captain of this football team, with the C on your chest, you got to be smarter than this. You got to be better than this. Don't stoop to the level of the Philadelphia Eagles. I know Julian Love is a good football player, but I am not a fan of my captain going on freaking NFL Network after you just got your tail whipped and you're talking smack about a team that just worked you and bent you over and made you your son. Should the Giants sign Julian Love? That's my question. Should they re-sign him? I believe so, but I'm not paying top dollar for him because I like Dane Belton, and I'm not gonna have a high-paid safety in Julian Love, and I'm not gonna have a high-paid safety in Xavier McKinney. You don't work well like that. The cap just isn't that much to go around. I'll ask you though: should the Giants re-sign Julian Love? Type S for sign, type P for pass. I appreciate everybody for making New York Giants now a part of their day today. I'm sure a lot of people were rah-rahing about that Julian Love stuff. Keep rah-rahing about that 2-12 record over the last 14 games. Till we beat the Eagles at the link, it's just, you can't talk crap about them because they're about to win the Super Bowl, I believe. I'm rooting for the Chiefs, but man, that Eagles team is good. It's still F. Nick Sirianni around here. Give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.